All right. Welcome back to the Fantasy Addicts Fantasy Football Podcast. Had a little technical difficulties, but sometimes that happens when you do it live.
We're doing it live anyway.
All right, but here we are. We're back.
The show goes on!
All right, so quick recap, news and notes. Kerryon Johnson signs with the Eagles, ruins their backfield further. We're out on the Eagles' backfield. Tim Tebow signs Jacksonville Jaguars.
Nobody cares.
The next Travis Kelce, maybe not. Again, it'd be exciting to watch and see if he gets on the field. And again, just a good guy to mentor the new shiny, bright quarterback.
What, on baseball?
Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, maybe.
Man.
And then the next one. This is the big news that I want to get to that I've been waiting for.
Let's talk it.
All right. So the Green Bay Packers sign their new franchise quarterback. And
too bad Marcy's not here. You know, this would be premium Marcy.
Blake Bortles to the Green Bay Packers to replace disgruntled Aaron Rodgers.
Do you want to go to war, Balaki?
Balaki? Oh, and, Aaron, he just made that noise and got these star quarterbacks signed to replace him.
You done messed up, Aaron!
I think we briefly covered it, but you heard the Schefter, basically he just made this whole thing up.
That sounds completely accurate. Rodgers was just like, hey, just float this out there that I'm upset so that I have some leverage.
Did you see the interview with Schefter where he basically said, I made it up?
I did not see that. I did see that there were, teammates that had leaked some things from group chats and things of that nature that he had told them he might not be back. But.
So Rappaport basically went on the Dan Patrick show, and Dan Patrick's, talking to him and interviewing him, and he goes, so tell me about the Aaron Rodgers thing, and Schefter just goes, oh yeah, there was really nothing in particular, no source really told me anything, it's just a culmination of things I've heard over the offseason. And he just decided to come out on draft day and release all the information.
Cram it up your cram hole.
I don't understand.
Yeah, it definitely probably got likes and views and got people talking. It's been a big story in the NFL. There have been little reports coming out that they're kind of still in. They're not, it's not like just closed off. They're not talking to each other. They all hate each other.
Right.
And again, nothing has officially come from Aaron Rodgers, but it does make a big difference. If he goes to another team, Denver was one that's gotten floated around as a possible place that could trade for him, that has the capital that could use him. And again, I think it's a huge upgrade for all their offensive pieces. If he leaves Green Bay, I think you definitely downgrade all the Green Bay offensive pieces. The Love reports as far as his quarterbacking skills have not been glowing. And again,
even when Davonte Adams didn't have Aaron Rodgers, he still produced at the wide receiver one level. So I wouldn't be too worried about Davonte Adams. I think people are trading him away in Dynasty, scared of Aaron Rodgers leaving. If you can get him at a discount right now, I'd buy.
I think that's a good idea because he's still going to be valuable even if they did have a downgraded quarterback. He probably won't be the number one wide receiver on the year. His touchdowns could come down, but he's still obviously the number one wide receiver on that team. He's still very talented. It depends on what you have to give up for him.
That's a good noise. Let's see what happened here. Pocket with that 9-month subscription.
Oh, appreciate you, Pocket.
We call that the Twitch baby.
Number one fan. You know why? He saw his helmet. He's like, I gotta keep an eye on that helmet of mine. Make sure they don't hawk it on eBay.
We're keeping good care of it here. Don't you fret.
Let me see if
thank you very much for that subscription. Rodgers leaves, Adams leaves. So I've heard that as well. I don't know that Adams can necessarily just up and leave. I mean, he can throw a fit, but I don't see that happening.
This is the way.
On my helmet drop. Yeah, no, I think it's a lot of smoke. I think that Rodgers is going to be back. I think they're going to work it out. And it was kind of a little bit like this last year after Jordan Love got drafted, and they're just like, oh, he's mad and he's upset.
The biggest wrong they've done to him the entire time is drafting Jordan Love. I mean, that's really the biggest.
And Jordan Love didn't get on the field at all last year. Not even in we're winning and we're just going to give him some reps. So
no, you trade up in the first round and you take a quarterback when people think you needed a wide receiver. So I can see that as the biggest wrong to Aaron Rodgers, but we talked about it before. You have the number one, wide receiver in the league. You have a top 5 running back in the league. You have 2 all-pro linemen. I don't know what else you need. I mean, I don't know. If you're that good of a quarterback, why do you need an all-star wide receiver too and, more all-star linemen? I just don't. Where does it stop?
Well, yeah. So the stat you hear about is that they just haven't drafted an offensive weapon in the first round, but they've got them a lot of good pieces in the second round. And they did draft a wide receiver, so they got, let's see.
Is it Amari?
Yes,
Amari
Rodgers. So another A. Rodgers.
Yeah,
So
that's what they did. They just replaced. They're just trolling him at this point with another A. Rodgers.
A. Rodgers, the A. Rodgers, and he's one that got a little bit of hype pre-draft. So he could be somebody to keep on your radar in your rookie drafts for Dynasty.
Sogo, welcome in. He's got the little high.
Hey.
Welcome in. Pocket. What does the Green Bay Panic say about Jordan Love when they signed Bortles? I think it really just shows that they're probably not super thrilled with Jordan Love. I mean, I don't know that you make that move if you.
Yeah.
I mean, the market's so thin at backup quarterback anyway. I mean, it doesn't. I don't know.
It sounds like he's still raw. He's not ready, and also the big. People are overreading into this. They just needed more depth on their quarterback room. Love and Rodgers were the only two guys that they had. You know. And if Rodgers, there's even a hint that he wasn't going to be around, just have another guy in there learning. And
Blaine Gabbert or Mitch Trubisky?
Man, it's Mitch. I think could do good things if he gets time. If Josh goes down, Josh don't call me Kyle Allen.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think he fits their system well.
I don't think Blake Bortles is like the worst quarterback.
No, as far as backup quarterbacks, he's very much should be a backup quarterback on an NFL team.
Rodgers, Watson, a 1-for-1 swap. Watson can sit for 8 weeks, both suspended, then play, and Rodgers can be sent to football hell. That would be hilarious if the Packers sent Rodgers to the Texans, but
he might actually turn it around. It'd be a great move for the Texans because he's
already ostracized everybody else around him.
Yeah,
I mean, he can go to the right team.
Well, I heard another report that could be just pure fiction that he was intrigued by the Oakland Raiders. It was like, if Aaron Rodgers wants to go to the Raiders, I believe that zero. We're at that time of the year where people are just making up stuff.
You also hate the Raiders. I don't know why.
Speaking of the Raiders, because the schedule came out, we're talking about the schedule. The Oakland Raiders actually have a really tough start of the season, and Nick and I have a bet, for those that don't know, that Josh Jacobs will finish outside of the top 14 running backs. And schedule-wise, it feels like it couldn't have gone better for my side of the bet.
Not even close to being worried.
Oh, my gosh. All right, you want me to... Let me
close. Doesn't the Rodgers thing kind of seem like a Russell Wilson thing from before?
I think Rodgers is more spiteful and vindictive than Russell Wilson.
I hope he is.
It'd be great for the Bears if he takes off and leaves the division.
Jacobs had 12 touchdowns last year and totally disrespected in ranks. I agree. I think he is probably the biggest buy out of the top 12 running backs right now because he's probably the cheapest of the top 12 running backs. I mean,
I agree with the cheapness. Maybe falls low enough that you want to take the shot on him, but I definitely think that the Kenyon Drake signing, some people think it's nothing. I think it's something. Nick and I can disagree on that. I think he's going to eat into his time. They did pay Kenyon Drake a fair amount. And then let me just go through the schedule, their start of the season. So the Oakland Raiders, let me go through.
So Rodgers not going anywhere. He's just squeezing the situation now. Please, God, please. I'd say there's a 92% chance Rodgers is the Green Bay quarterback starting next year.
So they go, it looks like Ravens, Steelers, Dolphins, Chargers, Bears, Broncos, and then it softens up with the Eagles. The Giants are like a middle-of-the-road kind of defense. Kansas City, and then they get the Bengals, Cowboys. So there's a couple bright spots, but just that start. If he gets off to a slow start, if he gets banged up,
this is Oakland, Banjo.
Yeah, it's just an interesting to kind of. It was one of the things that jumped out at me.
Yeah,
it was tough slate.
I'm not worried because the thing about it, Jacobs, is he gets the opportunity. He's going to get 90% of the running back work.
I don't think he's going to get 90. I think Kenyon Drake's going to eat into him more.
Kenyon
than that.
Drake's a bum.
Kenyon Drake, again,
he's a bum. If he wasn't a bum, he'd get signed longer term somewhere.
They paid him like they want to use him. They don't want to throw it to
Yes,
Josh
Banjo,
Jacobs.
Oakland. We don't care about that they're in Vegas right now. Oakland.
It feels like Oakland.
I know.
Raiders,
Oakland's trying to get rid of the A's now, too. I mean, they're just going to have no sports teams left in Oakland. Fine. The Vegas Raiders.
Sorry. We'll call them the Vegas Raiders when they feel like they're a Vegas team. Still feels like
Yeah,
Oakland.
the Golden Knights are the only Vegas team right now. All righty.
So some other standouts from the schedule. Yeah. We got to talk about our Bears. So the Chicago Bears.
The Bears.
So they got a tough schedule. They actually
UNLV. There you go.
Again, I was looking at it. I'm going to say 7 to 10 wins, I think, is reasonable for them. One of the big questions for Bears fans is when will Fields start? I could see him starting as soon as week 2. I don't think that they'll start the season with him as the guy. I think they're going to throw Dalton out there against the Rams. I think he's going to get eaten alive, which is good. You don't want to throw Fields to the Rams.
Is it bad that the further we get, the more I look at Andy Dalton, I'm like,
that is
not so bad.
Absurd. No one is doing that.
Yeah.
It's just Nick liking things that suck.
He's not that bad.
he's not that good.
He's not good. No, I don't want him for 17
So
games.
Here's what I'll say. If they do throw Andy Dalton in against the Rams and he wins in impressive fashion, I say, okay, then you go ahead, let him play week 2, 3, 4 until he starts to look bad. And if he just goes undefeated through 14 games, like, okay, we'll stick with him. But
Andy Dalton, win or lose, he plays watchable football. You know how much I love watchable football.
I think it'd be very bearish of them to start Dalton so they can be like, we told him he'd be the starter, so we were technically not lying. And he starts, gets murdered by the Rams. The Chicago fans lose their mind screaming for Fields. They put Fields in probably too early.
They just whisper to the lineman, let Aaron Donald throw.
Yeah, but he wins week 2. I think they got the Lions. So, again, it's just, I think that you give Dalton the good first team, and then you let him lose so you can be like, all right, now we're going Fields. You throw Fields in, he gets that confidence win on the first, and it just carries you forward. They could wait longer, but that's what I'll predict.
Pocket wants to know, is Cohen going to cut into Montgomery's touches? The
Cohen sucks.
Yep,
Cohen does suck, and
106 targets.
So
we're going to have this conversation again.
He will not be good for the Bears. He will not be good for football. Maybe he'll have flex appeal in fantasy on certain days with good matchups.
Josh Jacobs or David Montgomery?
Will hurt David Montgomery. I'll take David Montgomery over Josh Jacobs. Oof. Speaking of, David Montgomery's just got a better schedule. There are some definite soft stretches in there where I think
you're only buying into schedule because that's all we have to work off right now. I mean,
that's what we're talking about.
I know, but I mean, like once we get into the season, I think we're overhyping how the schedules work out because there's so much movement and skills of teams. Like the Bears defense, I don't think is going to be scary at all this year. You know, there's other teams that, you know, the Chargers, like, it's not really that tough of a defense. You know, it hasn't been to this point. And really, their toughest part is their secondary, not their line. So I'm not really as bought into some of these.
The Bears should have a middle of the road, you know, upper half kind of.
Yeah,
defense,
I think they're probably around 10 to 12.
Won't be a top 5.
Yeah, I think they're top third.
I think that's fair. You could compare them to the Chargers defense. You could compare them to, you know, maybe even the Giants defense, which it actually had better stats than I realized last year. I was looking.
Honestly, I know you hate it. Daniel Jones, pick him up as your second quarterback if you can, or if you just wait long enough, he's going to be a top 12 quarterback.
I will completely disagree.
That's
so
I think
Daniel Jones, they do have a lot of wide receiving weapons right now. So I'll give you that. They picked up Kadarius Toney. They signed Kenny Galladay. The first 2 games of the year, they have tough matchups for wide receivers. So Kenny G might get off. If somebody picks him high and he just looks bad those first 2 games, he might be a trade for a target. We're pretty far out. So, you know, if you got your notebook, you're taking all the notes on the show.
So it says, hope not picked up Montgomery last year, week 9, and started him the rest of the year. Yeah, I mean, that was right when they kind of figured out something with the offensive line, and they were playing some really bad teams. So that did make a difference then. Pocket says, Cohen will be on the field more than Drake. I'll take that bet. I will take the Cohen gets more touches than Kenyon Drake.
I think that Cohen will get more passes thrown to him, although I completely don't feel that he should, and the Bears will just do it because they think he's good, but he's not. Kenny Drake will have more rush attempts. I actually think Khalil Herbert, the running back that they picked up, a lot of analysts before the draft were kind of saying, hey, Khalil Herbert's got some juice. He looks good. So.
I still think Montgomery's a bum. So
they also signed Damien Williams, who he's older, but he's a capable guy. He's got good hands. He's quick. We'll see if he lost a step being out last year. He took off for COVID.
Drafted too late to really be a true threat in my mind.
So the Bears running back, the Bears backfield is definitely more crowded than it was last year when David Montgomery had his best stretch.
I think it's for sure. I think it's false crowded. I think really you have David Montgomery and then you have Cohen. He'll take 25% of the work.
You're putting 75-25. Yeah. I think those other guys will work in more than you realize. They did lose Cordero Patterson, so you got some carries. Just a handful.
What, 30?
If we're doing the whole breakdown.
Will Saquon play more than 8 or play more than 6 games, says Sogo? I would say yes. 6 is pretty few. 10?
Man, I think that I could see it going either way, but I think that if I was ranking guys that I was worried about an injury where they were going to miss significant time, Saquon would be high. And one of the big reasons I've been out.
You got bit, though.
I did. That's a good point. So I had him the first 2 games of the year where he didn't play well when he was healthy. That also weighs into my not liking Saquon. I don't think the Giants' line is very good. I don't think the team is great. I think Daniel Jones loves to cough it up more than he likes to. He's going to have more turnovers.
But isn't that what you want? Don't you want him to give up free points so they can just go on offense again?
Yeah, but then it just hurts your running game because, again, I know that Saquon is so integral that they still run with him. Not exactly on the Titans' Henry level, but he's still very involved. He catches the ball.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of mouths there as far as the reception game, and I think Saquon is a guy that the main reason I worry about his injury is because if he gets injured, you took him at the second or third pick in the draft, whereas if a guy you took in the second round gets injured, it's just if you use your first pick on a guy that misses 8 games, like that just crushes your fantasy team.
Yeah, but if he falls to 8 and somebody gets Saquon at 8 and he hits, I mean, that guy's winning.
Yeah, and 8
he's winning.
Yeah, I don't think he will fall to 8. I think that Saquon will be going in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, no, I don't.
The majority of redraft.
Puckett says Nagy loves Cohen. No idea why.
Cohen, and again, most of you probably aren't, but if you are a Bears fan and if you have, just Facebook or their social media, they post anything about Cohen and it is unanimous Bear fan hate of just like, oh, great, I'm glad he's healthy so he can run for 1,000 yards, left to right in parentheses, or laterally. Great speed in the wrong direction, and everybody sees what I see, and it's just they don't use him. Maybe again, if he was on Kansas City, maybe he's an all-star, maybe he's phenomenal, but the Bears didn't get it working with him, and they just chased that one big play, which he'll have like 1 in 20, but it just kills your drives the rest of the time.
Quickly, Pocketwheel says Joe Burrow and Dak both on track and ready to practice start week 1 according to the news. I'll touch on that in 1 second. I actually timed this perfectly with Sogo. How about Jamal Williams in Detroit? Will Swift become RB2? So it was reported earlier that Anthony Lynn said that Jamal Williams is an A-type running back, right?
Yes,
and
but his definition of an A.
The top comment on Reddit was, Lynn's just very Italian, and we all didn't know. Yeah, Jamal Williams, a very classic running back. It's so funny. But
biting kneecaps. And,
yeah. So, no, I'm not worried. As a Swift owner, I'm not worried about it.
No, by no means do I feel that Jamal Williams is going to overtake Swift, but I do think it's a good sign for him being a valuable handcuff, and B, just a guy who's going to get work. I think he could get more work than he did for the Packers, and there were a couple games where you could flex him late in the year when you were desperate. Like, he was that desperation. The good running backs all got hurt.
Honestly, we had to deal with
I need a guy who's on the field.
Yeah, we had to deal with Adrian Peterson, who got the ball, honestly, a ton.
Absolutely.
Ton. So
the Lions, it's a new coaching staff, but they have historically liked to spread out their carries. And Swift, it was a concussion.
But Anthony Lynn likes a guy. That's what he likes. He likes going with a guy. And I think we're going to see that come to fruition. I think Swift's going to get a ton of work because I think they're just going to have him kind of carry a lot of the load for the season.
Yeah. So if I was in redraft and I did have Swift, I would try to get Jamal. And I think that just Swift, he had a concussion last year. He's behind a bad line. That team is rough. And they play good defenses. They're in a tough division. They have a tough strength of schedule. Actually, a lot of the NFC North teams, if you look at their strength of schedule rankings, are tough. The Bears, I think, are third toughest. Green Bay's like 4th or 5th. Lions and Vikings, because that division was competitive. And I just worry about his health. Cam Akers is kind of the same, where the volume you saw at the end of the year, Cam had injuries at the beginning of the year that people forget about. So Darrell Henderson's a guy that I've had some interest in.
So we had a league mate, Ethan, sent me an article earlier, and it was basically like top 8 bustable players to avoid. It was like Swift, Evans, and then it was Akers and Gibson, which I honestly don't agree on any of those guys. I think Akers is honestly completely under ADP'd right now. I think he could very easily be in the top 6-7 running backs on the season. And Gibson, really, my only worry with Gibson is he doesn't get much passing work, but he's a solid runner, and they've invested in that line a lot.
I think that Gibson will get a lot more passing work. He does have hands. He was a wide receiver, so he's got the capability. They were easing him in, and again, I think they were trying.
Fitz doesn't care who's out there; he's throwing them the ball.
And he was a rookie, and I think part of it is those rookies you forget. They're trying not to just overload them and give them every play right away. It's like, all right, let's get him good at running. He's doing a good job with this. Let's really establish that. And they had McKissick, who was getting passing work. Had a ton of receptions, was relevant because of the amount of receptions, but he wasn't breaking off big yards with them. He wasn't doing anything.
No, not at all.
I think they're going to move some of those passing work to Antonio Gibson.
Yeah. Does AP or Gore have a team yet? I don't believe so.
Nope. Just waiting. Just sitting there waiting.
Let's see. Banjo says it could be Jamar out of nowhere. I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Yeah, so Jamar is a rookie that the Lions drafted. I want to say, was it 6th round? I think it was later.
It was pretty late.
There's some people that liked him kind of in the
they had like
pre-draft.
Zach Zenner for a while, and he's gone. I think pretty much everybody else on that offensive.
No, he would be a guy that if Swift does go down, you should throw on your roster and just have.
Jamar, I think not Jamar. Jamal will be I think a pretty decent handcuff.
Yeah, and he's looked good when he got opportunity in Green Bay. There were games where Adrian Peterson was out where he handled the workload pretty good. So we'll see how the Lions will be interesting. There will be some fantasy value. However, I think that offense is going to be in a bad spot, not put up a lot of points.
Let's see here. Let's touch back on Joe Burrow and Dak. So honestly, there's a lot of players involved here just with Joe Burrow and Dak. We got obviously Zeke and Mixon that are, could be RB1s. I know you're not really in love with either of them, but they could both be top 6-8 guys for sure.
Sure.
Not saying they will. And then we've got T. Higgins, Chase, and Tyler Boyd on the Bengals. And then we've got Cooper, we've got Gallup, and we've got CeeDee Lamb on Dallas. And really, same kind of thing. Bad defenses, offenses is going to have to, I think, throw a lot.
Yeah, and the report did come out that Joe Burrow is on track for Week 1. I don't know that I believe that, but
I saw Tiger.
hey, the Tiger King. It's better for watching. It's more fun for fantasy if he is back. All those wide receivers definitely get a huge bump if he is there.
Warwick with that 6-month subscription.
Appreciate it, Warwick. Get a couple subscriptions today. So if you want to be cool like Pocket and Warwick, hit that subscribe.
And get those emotes.
Yeah, if you're catching us on the YouTube, drop a follow. And if you are catching us on our streaming services, we're on Apple Podcast, Spotify. Leave a review.
Absolutely.
Not gotten a lot of reviews, but I will definitely read it.
They're just so blown away, they just don't know how to review it. They can't put it into words. Warwick, that's a fancy new setup you got there. Thank you. Warwick actually picked this up for us. So thank you very much for doing all the heavy lifting, and all I had to do was put it together. So
we're experimenting with it. So we might try the long.
We might do a little wide, little news desk action afterwards. We'll see.
This is Fantasy Addicts News.
Where's Mod Marcy? Poser. Table looks great.
Burgundy?
Thanks, Pocket. I don't know where Marcy is. She's just not a viewer anymore. I might just kick her out of the Discord.
That's right. No, she's active in the Discord.
All right, fine.
She said she's going to be here, and then she'll say she's going to be at the next one.
Like you said, she's probably got a hot date or something going on.
That's all right. I need somebody to just, when I post crying Packer memes, I'll come back at me. So,
but I'm excited to see Joe Burrow and Dak. Honestly, the tear that CeeDee Lamb and Zeke were on at the beginning of last season, and Dak, was super exciting to watch. I hope we get a repeat of it and it lasts through the whole season. Same thing with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow looked really solid until he lost a limb.
We're on to Cincinnati.
So I'm really excited to see both those guys play. In
the big question will just be, can they be what they were before the injury? Because it's tough. You miss time. And one that's interesting is in Dynasty, Tyler Boyd got an offer sent to me that I would get Tyler Boyd for 2 first-round picks, and I think that it is amongst the most overvalued. Maybe it was a high ball,
Yeah. I mean, you got to start somewhere, but I probably wouldn't have started exactly there.
So the question is then, what would you give for Tyler Boyd? I think that Jamar Chase coming in just ruined his value. He's the 3rd wide receiver on that team.
I think Tyler Boyd's really not going to change a whole lot in value, and depending on, that's not the value I'd buy him at, I think he still could be a valuable piece depending. Like I said, we still saw AJ Green leave with over 100 targets. So
take a drink, AJ Green.
There you go. All right, wide receiver 1, AJ Green. So he's got 116 targets that he's given up leaving town. So there's still enough targets to go around for Chase, and I think Boyd is a good piece. We saw Boyd last year. I mean, super inconsistent, but had some really big weeks. So
I actually believe that Boyd was fairly consistent. So he had a lot of those kind of just 10 to 15 point weeks, which are valuable. Had a good finish on the year.
I think he'd be surprised. He had like a couple 30-plus points and then
I think that Jamar Chase is going to be the first read. I think that Higgins is going to be the second. I think then it's Boyd. They could line him up and maybe he has some good games, but I am definitely not going after the guy that I believe to be the 3rd best wide receiver on the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's worth noting that because they drafted Chase, they did not get Penei Sewell or another strong first round, kind of highly ranked offensive
So they're going for Burrow's other
So
leg?
their line's still going to be bad. It's not outside the realm of possibilities that a guy coming off a pretty catastrophic knee injury. He had, I think, LCL, MCL, ACL, like
all the L's.
all the ligaments got. That basically means your knee got ripped off and the skin was holding it. Well,
again, 15 years ago, you're done. You're not playing
so
anymore.
medical advances, we're all for that. Hopefully they just start getting it where it's like, oh, you tore your ACL, like, boop, all right, you're good. All right, get back out there.
Yeah, you can play tomorrow.
That's a dream, and maybe, but yeah, because they've come a long way. But a guy coming off of a huge knee injury, I don't believe he'll be back for week 1. That's what the report said. I don't buy it. And I think he'll miss at least the first 2 to 3 weeks. And Cincinnati, we've seen AJ Green, we've seen Joe Mixon, where it's like, oh yeah, he's coming back, and then like
Burrow might miss the whole
18
season.
games later,
Burrow might miss the
whole season plus. They're like, oh yeah, he just never came back. So I don't trust their medical staff, their training, all that. I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
And again, their line, they made a couple moves, but it's still rough. It's not great. They needed like a whole new line. They got like a couple new pieces.
There's not that many to go around.
I believe they had one guy who was injured who came back, who was drafted.
Yeah, don't forget about Uzama that went down.
Uzama
and Sample went down too.
Oh, do it, Uzama.
Pocket says Mike is the Bengals tight end jinx. That is fact. That is fact.
Well, they didn't get Pitts, so hopefully.
All right, you got any more schedule stuff?
Yeah, so just quick ones. The Atlanta Falcons and the Dallas Cowboys, they had the softer schedules. So if you have those pieces, I still like those guys going forward. Some games that I'm excited for. So one that I want to see, it's not until week 12, but we have the New York Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles after the Eagles threw the game by putting in their backup quarterback so that the Giants couldn't make the playoffs. If this was hockey, this would be the whistle, gloves come off, every guy fighting. And I haven't seen it in the NFL, but just everybody,
down for it.
Helmets off, fighting. That's how it should start, and they should let it go. They should just let it go.
Just let them work
let
it out.
be. So that's my wish list. Can't wait for that game, and I hope
Davonte Smith will get actually broken.
I hope they start jawing at each other. I hope the teams are relevant because I'm excited for that. The other big one, so Tom, the man, Brady, the GOAT, returning to Foxborough as an opponent against Bill Belichick.
Was it week 4?
Week 4, and I can guarantee if you turn on ESPN, that is all you will hear about that entire week.
Yeah.
Nobody will talk about any other game.
We should
it doesn't
specifically
matter.
not talk about it at all once we get to that week.
Bill Belichick.
I want to talk about it.
Okay.
All right, now, who you got?
Yeah, Buccaneers.
All right, I believe it's at Foxborough. You're taking them?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, man, it feels like a Bill. It feels like the last thing Bill could do is like, Tom left. He won the Super Bowl. It's like it's all he could do. So this is the last team in the NFL that Tom Brady needs to beat every team in the NFL, which is a fun fact.
I think Bill lets him steamroll him. Just take the L.
Doesn't feel like a Bill thing to do. I think that Bill cheats tremendously and gets the win in a controversial.
I don't know if you have it on your list, but we kind of need to talk about week 7.
All right, let's see if it's is it your quarterback, your dynasty quarterback, and his previous team?
No.
Oh, so a lot of week 7 storylines.
Week 7 is basically when all the teams are on bye. Isn't that correct? I mean, there's like 8 teams on bye week 7. I mean, there's a lot of big names out. Are you stockpiling any wide receiver 2s or like any flex guys? Are you planning accordingly, or just going to take the L if you have 5 guys that are out 1 week?
No, the bye weeks again, because a lot of times when I'm playing, you can afford to kind of punt 1 week. One thing that I do try not to do, I don't like to have a punter and a kicker on bye the same week, because then you have to kind of drop both of those guys if you want to fill a spot. Because you got to play a kicker and a defense. But
so you have the Cowboys, Vikings, Bills, Steelers, Jaguars, Chargers all on bye week 7. So you got CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Gallup, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Delvin Cook, Zeke, Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, Najee Harris. I mean, there's a lot of bye players this week. And then you got Keenan Allen, Eckler. I mean, that's a lot of players.
Yeah, so the thing about the bye weeks.
A lot of good players, too.
This happened to me last year where I was like, oh my God, all my guys are on bye. I got nobody. But then the team I was going against also had good players on bye because everybody was on bye. So it evens out, and every team has players that will have to be on a bye. There are a couple later buys in the season this year. So, no, I don't read into it too much.
Another thing, are you looking at, I mean, it's still technically a schedule, but NFL, I think we're bearing the lead too, is 17 games this year.
Yeah, definitely. I think that if anything, maybe in Dynasty, you want to try and just pad that running back depth a little bit more. But it's one more game, so it's not like they added 15 games. But
would you, in your league, would you rather add another round of playoffs, or would you rather just add that week to the regular season?
Just add that week to the regular season.
Or make the championship game 2 weeks?
Nah, I don't like that.
Okay.
I get, again, I think that it depends on your league, depends on what people like. You can float ideas and vote on it. I kind of like just adding one more regular season game.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be the standard. But
it'll be the simplest.
Yeah, for sure. But I actually don't hate having, a double championship week. It kind of takes a little bit of guesswork out of it, and really is. I mean, the NFL, it's one game, one or done. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like that feel of all or nothing. This is the week, like it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that as well.
All right, so week 7 we were talking about, that is another revenge game. You get Matt Stafford versus previous team of the Lions, and I expect the Rams to just ram the Lions. Just, hey, and I think that he left on good terms. They kind of were like, all right, we just, we're not competing this year. We're going to let you go. Yeah. And so I think it'll be good. I think Tom, they'll both get warm welcomes. So, Guy, how is the Jets' reaction when Sam Darnold comes back with the Panthers to play them week 1? Violent booing or just quiet?
Is it even televised? I mean,
it is. I'm ready to watch. So that's week 1. That's primetime TV. Can Sam Darnold with his new team go in and just show the Jets, you've made another terrible mistake, Jets. You are the worst. I'm back.
Yeah, no, I honestly hope Sam Darnold's good. I really do.
I think he'll be okay. I think he could be kind of what Matt Stafford was before would be the ceiling, where like he doesn't win a lot of games, but he still gets fair, fantasy production. The Carolina Panthers do have a soft start to the season for wide receivers. So DJ Moore's a guy I like going forward this year. And Robbie Anderson continues this year to be slept on.
You know they got Terrace
Much
Marshall?
Like he was last year. He's going too low.
Don't forget about Terrace.
Terrace Marshall's there. I like Terrace Marshall. The report on Terrace is that he might not be a guy who comes out of the gates firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
It's kind of
and he's still got a little bit of injury concern too, I think. They're still trying to work out some medicals.
So Stafford will be a top 10. I'm coming around to top 12. Like
I have no doubt he'll be top 10.
I think Stafford could be decent.
If Stafford plays 15 games, he'll be top 10.
I'm less adverse to that than I was earlier when they initially made the trade. I looked at it a little bit more.
You don't realize how good Stafford's been until you actually dive into the numbers a little bit.
It depends on how you gauge good.
Points per game played.
Trash fantasy points. He's great at that. But games won,
points are points, man.
Playoff game appearances and wins.
How about the rookie tight end in Jacksonville? I think you're referring to Tim Tebow. We did cover it a little bit when we were having technical difficulties.
Tebow time.
But it's a trap. Not interested.
I hope he gets it. I hope he makes the team. I hope he gets a touchdown.
I don't even want to acknowledge it, so Tim Tebow just goes away.
We did the over-under 1 touchdown. I take the over. Nick took the under. I would not bet any money on it.
No. Mike hates any and all NFC North QBs that aren't Bears. There's
some bias. That's fair.
That is 100% true.
But Matt Stafford, again, just what has he done as far as actual winning and just being a good NFL
What have the Bears done as far as winning?
The Bears have awful quarterbacks. So you can put even, you don't have to put that aren't Bears. You can put just NFC North quarterbacks because all of them are bad.
What quarterbacks do you like, Mike?
What quarterbacks are I like? Patty Mahomes, my dynasty quarterback.
Yeah, okay.
Let's see here.
So you like the best quarterback. Go figure.
He's a good one. Patty. I actually like Lamar Jackson. I like watching him. I like watching him run. I know you don't like him because he doesn't throw. Kind of lower level quarterbacks. Position. I love Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's been probably my favorite quarterback of all time. But lower level. We're going low.
That are still alive.
Still alive. Yeah. Peyton's the best. Man, guys, I rooted for Gardner. I like Gardner Minshew as just a story and a personality. But again, he can find a spot. He can play.
I don't know. There's only a few guys that I really dislike. I mean, Yeah, get Lamar Jackson out of there. Not interested.
Yeah,
You like Herbert?
I hate Derek Carr.
I think Derek Carr is solid. He gets a bad rep. He's kind of boring, but he's solid.
I'm rooting for the rookies, but they're good. Like Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow. I like those guys. I like Herbert a lot.
I wonder if Peyton Manning's wife is still on HGH. I didn't know that was a thing.
She can do whatever she wants.
It's like that antler spray.
Leave Peyton alone.
The PGA Tour. Man, Mike should know that actual winning means nothing in fantasy. That's true. As far as NFL teams winning their games, doesn't matter.
That's what I said about Stafford. His fantasy, he could have a much better win percentage, and his team could go better, and he could win a playoff game, and his fantasy value could actually come down because he doesn't have to just air it out in garbage time the whole time.
But that's what we want. He's a great fantasy quarterback.
The Lions historically could not run the ball. They had bad defenses, so they were just playing
They've
catch
just
up.
Never had a running back.
Yeah. So I think that
Reggie Bush,
the Rams have a very good defense, and they could just not need to. Stafford could go out, score 2 touchdowns a game, and be very, have a great season NFL wise, but poor for fantasy.
Yeah. Alrighty, who else you got? We're talking week 7 here.
Yeah. So some other takeaways: the 49ers, they have a nice end of season schedule. They have actually kind of throughout a fairly soft schedule. So if
they were never good last year.
We can figure out. Well, they had a lot of injuries, and they were still competitive, but. If we can figure out who's going to be healthy on that team, I think that they'll have value.
They'll all be healthy out for one game.
There you go. It's just get him on that, trade him for the next guy.
I think the 49ers are a bottom third team. I mean, I know that's controversial. Some people are putting them in the top, 8-10 teams, and I honestly think they'll finish bottom third again. Too many injuries, too many inconsistencies. Rookie quarterback probably. Garoppolo sucks.
All right, I've got a mini game we're going to play.
Okay.
All right, and the game is, does this quarterback start within the first 3 weeks of the NFL season? So Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
Yes, obviously. Trey Lance.
No.
Okay, interesting.
Actually, yes, I think he will.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think Garoppolo will still be on the roster when the season starts or no?
I think he'll be on the roster.
Okay, so that's interesting. Justin Fields.
No.
I think in the first 3 is possible.
I bet Justin Fields doesn't start till week 6.
Okay, that's fair enough. They could try it the second time they play the Lions to shoehorn him in there.
I don't think the team matchup matters to them.
Mac Jones.
I think he's a starting quarterback.
Week 1?
Yeah.
Oh man, I think they're going to roll with Cam to start and see how that goes. And if Cam's winning, I think Mac Jones could not see the field. If Cam sucks, Mac Jones, I could see him being out the whole season and not playing if they're winning. But
I just don't think they're going to be winning.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think their wide receiver core is not great, but Cam doesn't want to throw it. If he can run. If they can get my guy Ramondre the Giant going, if they can throw it to the tight ends, just dink and dunk their way down the field and win with defense.
Sogo says Justin Fields starts game 4. We should put like a poll up. We should do a poll and make a little gambling thing.
Yeah,
pick your game. Whoever's the closest to that game gets the pot.
Week 4 they have I have to look back at the schedule, but I know they have like a couple tough teams mixed in with a couple soft teams at the beginning. I think week 3 is actually a tough team, and then 4 gets soft again. So,
the thing is with the Bears, I think they can win with Andy Dalton. That's the thing.
That will be the thing. I think if they start Andy Dalton week 1 and he wins against the Rams, he gets another shot in week 2 against the Lions. I think he wins that one. I think he could see him then lose the next game, and then 4 is actually a good prediction.
Over under week, Mike buys a Fields jersey. I think
I've got 4 in my closet now.
I don't think Mike's a jersey guy. I
got a couple, but they were given. I have never bought a jersey.
Mike doesn't spend money on clothing at all, ever. It's
either I got this one from work.
Yeah, it's either hand-me-downs or gifts.
Or like places I work at.
When was the last time you went shopping for clothes outside of like a work shirt?
Yesterday was at the store trying to buy like a new pair of like khakis, and the dressing room was closed, and she's like, I can't let you try that on. I'm like, why? And she didn't have an answer. I'm like, all right, I can just put them back. So that's why I don't buy clothes. It's like it's always that story. It's like, man, can I just have this shirt? Like,
10 years ago, the same thing happened the last time you went shopping.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of shopping.
Yeah,
unless it's for fantasy players in Dynasty.
Man, it's tough out there for a pimp too to try and find anything.
So here's just a unrelated, but like Ronald Jones. What's Ronald Jones's value, guys? What would you take? What do you want for Ronald Jones? What are you offering for Ronald Jones? I think he's going to be the guy on that team. They don't want to pass it to him, but he did pretty well last year without really being kind of the passing down guy.
See, Pocket's got the right idea. Support the stream so Mike can buy some new clothes. Hit that follow button. It's not even about the money.
Just start sending me clothes and I'll wear them.
That's probably it. I mean, he tried.
I don't know. Nick with his pink polos and his fancy pants. I don't know. I don't want to be that.
Sorry, I dress appropriately for an adult.
Not up in here.
Man, oh man. I got to see people during the day, though. So
I'm not even wearing pants.
Yeah. Put on the helmet. I don't know if Mike can actually fit his head in the helmet.
I did. It kind of smashes my nose. Like we gotta hit like a 250 follows for that kind of.
We're almost there. We need 28 more.
I have tried on the helmet. If you do follow us on Instagram, which we do have, I'll have to put a new picture of the new setup. But there is a me and the Mandalorian helmet. So this is the way.
Facts. All right, back to football.
All right,
we got another 5-10 minutes.
No, that covers most of what I wanted to touch on. Again, I think the Raiders, they got a tough start of the season just with their schedule. Other teams that looked just, it'll be interesting to see how these rookies get started. And I think that in the past, last year, there was a lot of rookies I was able to buy midway through because they got a slow start, and I knew that their talent was there and that they were hopefully going to increase their workload. You might not be able to do that, so you might have to actually draft these guys. Najee should get the work. Their offensive line's still not great. They've declined in their ability to run the ball every year since Le'Veon Bell took off. ETN, I think that, I would ignore the coach speak and just assume that he's going to get the vast majority of the workload.
You're going to hear a lot of crap over the next 3 or 4 months.
Davonte Williams, the third running back that most people agree as far as kind of dynasty rookies, he could take longer. He could be the J.K. Dobbins this year where he's got another good guy, kind of like Ingram was, or let's see. So now Melvin Gordon is ahead of him. Melvin Gordon actually finished the year well, but I think slow and steady, it might take a while for him to overtake him. If you get him at the end of the year. So that's where I'm at with those guys.
Sogo says, Robinson will explode with Fields, in my opinion. I got him on sites for a draft. I think, honestly, pass catchers for the Bears are going to be in good shape, whether it's, Dalton or Fields. I think both of them are better passers than we've had the last 5-6 years. So, as I said, Robinson's catchable ball rate was 62%. So, that means all of his targets, for every 10 targets he got, over 3 of them weren't even in a radius where he could even touch it. That's crazy. And he was still a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, and if Fields can sustain drives and get them to score in the red zone, that was the thing that they had
for sure
consistent problems with last year.
Robinson's catch percentage on bad balls is insane. It's insane. He comes down with balls that he shouldn't. Mooney is the same way. I think there's some playmakers on the Bears offense that, again, all we need was a quarterback that we can get kind of excited about to have a reason to watch the games. I hope Dalton just lets the ball loose and gives it his all. And honestly, I could see Robinson for sure being in the top 6-8 wide receivers. I'm not too afraid of that. Okay, one more thing before we kind of sign off. There's this overwhelming trend of people hyping Kyle frickin' Pitts, especially in Dynasty, as a top 2 pick, top 3 pick. Some people are taking him 1-1, but that's usually usually like tight end premium leagues. But tight end, they're starting to look at 2, 3, 4 in the rookie draft. Like, what's your thoughts?
I think that if you fully believe, there are definitely analysts that I trust to know what they're talking about, like that think he could be just Travis Kelce from like year 1 or 2. And if you can get Kelce level top, that's the thing about tight ends is there's just that position. If you can find a guy who could put up 15 to 20 points a game for multiple years, you just get such a huge advantage because the vast majority of other guys, they can put up 10 to 20 points 1 week, but then they'll have 2 weeks where they score 3 points.
Do you know who the last tight end that was drafted in the top 10 and put up tight end 1 or 2 numbers within the first 3 years was?
I have heard or listened to ESPN, but I don't remember off the top of my head. It was somebody.
Tony Gonzalez.
I thought there was one that went, because I believe Pitts tied for the highest that a tight end was ever drafted in the NFL, and it wasn't Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez was the last one to get drafted high and actually match it. He went to the Hall of Fame. Like, we're already going to call him like Hall of Fame caliber player, and he hasn't even stepped on the field. Like, it is absolutely ridiculous to spend a 1-3, 1-4 pick on Kyle Pitts. It's just, okay, let's say he's a top 3 like tight end, right? Let's say he's as good as Darren Waller, right?
Yeah.
Darren Waller gets you 15 points a game, right?
There were weeks where Waller put up week winning numbers.
Yeah,
but
what are you trading for?
If
Waller
I knew
right now?
I was getting
Nothing.
Waller, like if Waller was just in this draft and he was the same, let's even say just as age he is now, I'd take Waller at 3 in a draft now. But you
Absolutely
know for
not.
sure that that's what you're getting.
You can't.
I think
you just can't take a tight end that high. It's just
He's great. You can.
No, I mean, it doesn't happen. It doesn't work out that way. Even if they end up, TJ Hawkinson, right? What would you pay for Tyler Hawkinson?
So I was just talking to a league mate of ours about like the same thing, who I was trying to talk about taking Pitts that high.
Yeah.
And I don't expect Pitts to fall to me at 111, but I was just like,
Were you two talking to Alex?
this is Andrew.
Okay.
And I was just like, I kind of want Andrew's team to be good because
I do
our
too.
other league mate has taken all his picks thinking he's going to be terrible. And to the guy that got the picks his credit, he just traded for Chubb and now he's like desperately trying to give away Hunt. I was like, keep Hunt, man. Keep him. Like you definitely want to keep that guy on your roster. Don't trade him away right now. And he's like, I'm between Devontae Smith and Kyle Pitts at number 3. Like, oh, don't do that. Don't take those guys. Like, either trade back or
take ETN.
Take a running back. Yeah, take one of the running backs. And because Pitts, there's just a world where he comes out and he's good, but he's not nearly worth the third pick in a dynasty draft. I also think that the Falcons made a misstep by taking him so high in the NFL draft.
That's why they're still bad.
And Davonte is maybe he's great, but he's on the Eagles. They have a new quarterback who isn't, viewed as a great passer.
And he weighs
underweight,
110 pounds.
And again, he could be working with a new quarterback in a year or two. He could have a new coaching staff.
Let's say position need aside, and you had all the picks in the first round. What pick would you give up for Tyler Hawkinson? I know
TJ?
It's not Tyler.
TJ, don't call me Tyler Hawkinson.
Yeah.
Not a first rounder. I wouldn't.
See, and he's a top 5 tight end.
Yeah, I agree. If
You know
Pitts
what I
turns
mean?
into Hawkinson, that was also what I was kind of saying, what I counseled him toward. They said the same thing about Hawkinson. Oh, Hawkinson's the next Gronk. He's going to come out and he's going to be amazing.
He was drafted at 1.8.
Yeah.
In the NFL draft.
And he is good. He's a top 5. He's
done what he's supposed to do.
I believe he will be have another top 5 finish as far as tight ends this year. But yeah, 100% you'd rather have CeeDee Lamb, even Jerry Jeudy.
Even still, I think Hawkinson still falls in if you were trading him straight up in the 1.6 to 1.9 range. I know you're not in love with Hawkinson because he's on Detroit, but he's still in the 1.6 to 9 range, and he's proven. Like Kyle Pitts, not even proven, and you're going to take him 1.4. Like it's ridiculous, especially after 1 year. Okay, Swift, right? Had an okay rookie season, right? A pretty decent one, but not crazy good or anything. You can trade Swift for 2+ first right now. Like just even value wise, it's not even comparable. You take the running back, and even if they're average, you can still trade more than that tight end, even if the tight end hits.
Yeah, and we have just like in the comments, like Pitts has Julio, Calvin, and 100 catch Mike Davis, who are going to be on the team. And he's got Hayden Hurst, who is another first-round drafted tight end who they just paid to get. I don't think Hayden will be on the field all the time, but he's going to be on the field some of the time. And I don't see in the first year a path.
Swift did blow the Bears game.
I think that if you could remember Pitts the hype, and when that person's frustrated in week 10 when he hasn't been nearly what he hoped when he drafted him, I think that person will be hard to get him from because they invested so much when they drafted him.
Right.
But there's a world in which you put together an offer for a high second, like an older wide receiver.
There's just so much proof out there that, look at Kelsey, Waller, Kittle. None of them were high draft picks. The tight end, it's just the NFL does a poor job of managing the value of tight ends. And
you'll disagree with me, but I think you could pull the trigger at 5.
I think 5's okay.
Okay.
I think 5's okay.
I think you definitely take all 3 of the top 3 running backs. You take Najee, you take ETN, you take Javonte Williams, and you take Jamar Chase. Maybe you put Jamar.
Those are my only blue chip players.
All right. So those are the 4. And then Pitts is like, okay, now you're just trying for that high level tight end. I think he's going to take more time to develop. Maybe he does have, a Kelsey-esque career, but it's not going to be week 1, I don't believe. He's going to get opportunity. He's going to be on the field.
Kelsey's
because
an anomaly, and Kelsey gets...
And he was drafted lower than...
Kelsey is 100% situation. If you
Makes sense.
If you put Hawkinson in that role, if you put O.J. Howard in that role, they're going to produce at the same level. It's just the offense. It's all positional. And really, I love the landing spot for Pitts. I like Atlanta, even though, yes, they have Julio, Kelvin, and good old Mike Davis. But
Atlanta, he says Atlanta's going to abuse Davis, throwing it to him out of the backfield. I don't think they're going to throw it to him that much. I don't know. Their offensive coordinator came from the Titans, who loved to run the ball, but Atlanta was not good at running the ball last year, and they don't have the tools to do it. And I think they're going to be a pass-heavy team. Can't trust Kittle. I think if Kittle's healthy, I think he's going to be great.
That's
they
what I think.
a soft schedule.
Injury history.
He's going to be great in the playoffs. He's an elite tight end when he's on the field. Injury a big concern.
I think Waller is pretty close to Kelsey. Yeah, I think Kelsey is 100% situational.
And how soon people forget about Mark Andrews?
Lamar Jackson already forgot about him.
So Andrews was decent last year. He wasn't what he was the year before, and they did just draft. They drafted Rashad Bateman, who should get red zone targets. He should get targeted. I think the volume's still going to be low. I'm kind of out on Bateman.
Remember Hollywood Brown's 2 first games, and it was like, oh, this guy's going to be it. And then
he came on at the end of the season.
Then he wasn't.
They had a rough stretch in the middle there, and like you said, they're winning with defense and rushing. They're not trying to air it out a lot, so which is 100%. Weird because they also took Tylan Wallace, who was a guy who I like as a wide receiver, but now is dead to me. Rashad, if he fell to the mid,
there's so many guys that are dead to me now after.
If Rashad falls to 2.9, I'll probably pull the trigger on him. But I could see him very much being a guy that I feel like I can't cut, who's on my bench, who's just clogging, and I'm waiting, and like maybe the situation gets better, and so I don't want Rashad real bad.
Yeah, no, I hear you. All right, we got 13 people in here. Anybody got any trade questions or trade value or any questions before we kind of head off for the evening? I'd like to answer some questions if you got them.
If you haven't followed the channel, don't be afraid.
I know I think I told you this before. I know it would be a little bit of an overpay, but I'm so short on running backs. My offer was Robert Woods, Curtis Samuel in a late third for Kareem Hunt in the 212. Like, I think I'm losing on value there, but I'm gaining a running back that I kind of need because I only have 2.
Yeah, I think I would try to, if I could trade like Robert Woods straight up for Kareem Hunt, he has a lot of value if Chubb goes down. You know what his situation is going to be for the next couple of years. He's under contract, I believe, for at least 2 more years with the Browns.
Ethan messaged me and said that Kareem Hunt has been a running back 1 each of the last 5 seasons, even with all of the
He's very talented. He did have a couple games where Chubb did go down where I expected him to blow up huge, and he just kind of stayed at that same level that he was when Chubb was there, which was interesting.
So it says Gaskin will deliver, ? Deliver a pizza?
Gaskin will be a usable running back in fantasy football this year. Yeah, man, he's the guy. You got to believe he's the lead running back on their team right now.
Do you think much is going to change with that backfield between now and the start of the season?
So there are still Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley that are running around out there that it won't shock me at all if they end up on a team like the Falcons or Miami or those teams that kind of missed out. Arizona. I don't think Arizona will sign those guys. I think they're going to try to roll with Chase and Connor this year. I don't think it's going to be good.
Atlanta,
yeah. They
already tried one.
They did, but they could say, hey, Todd, we liked you. How's that knee doing?
Come on back.
Yeah, come on back.
You can just run the touchdowns.
Easy. Knows the system. Like, it makes a lot of sense. It's for a team that just needs, a depth piece if nothing else. Right. He punched it in a lot of times at the start of the season when they had a softer schedule.
Who's going to start at tight end in Philly? I mean, the Ertz train supposedly maybe moving on.
So Ertz is there. There was a report that he didn't show up for the optional training camp. And if you've ever played on a sport, optional means you should be here. We want you to be here. Yeah. You need to be here.
It's semi-mandatory.
Yeah, it's pretty mandatory unless you're disgruntled or an all-star on the team who just knows you're going to play.
Right.
But Ertz, he had one down year, but he was great before that. I think he could have a bounce back if he goes somewhere else. I don't love his chances if he's on the Eagles because the Eagles are kind of a dumpster fire. And
I don't know if I trust Hurts yet either.
Goddard had injuries, so it's gonna be those 2 guys out there. If they're both on the team at the start of the season.
Pockets is starting San Francisco running back. This is where. Let's see how you feel.
Which week? Give me a week. Give me a week.
Which quarter?
No, just give me a week and I'll give you the running back.
Week 1.
All right, Mostert.
Week 4.
We'll go with Jeff Wilson. Somehow gets to be.
Week 10.
We'll go with the rookie. What is it? It starts with T.
Trey Sermon.
Trey Sermon. All right,
that's who we're going to talk about.
And then after that, we'll go
Trey Sermon, number 1 running back.
Elijah Moore will be the next week, but it'll be a carousel, man.
Trey Sermon is going to be one of the most value picks in any.
I think as we get close to the season, he's going to creep up into the early second, late first, and
could Trey Sermon.
Yeah.
In redraft, not dynasty.
I'm saying in dynasty. Oh, so you're saying redraft, right? You go with redraft.
I think in redraft, he's going to go super late, and I am taking him. Honestly, I might just go one running back early and take Trey Sermon because I think he's going to be the guy. We're talking about Mostert, who is 29 years old, Jeff Wilson, undrafted free agent, and no other competition, really. I mean, everybody else is a bum or undrafted or is just there because the first 6 guys got hurt. If Trey Sermon can stay on the field, he will be a top 12 running back, and you don't have to pay anything for him.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think that Elijah Moore, he does have some juice. They drafted him later than Sermon. I think that Mostert's going to get opportunity while he's healthy. He could get hurt.
I think they've seen how all these guys get hurt that aren't necessarily NFL players. They're in the NFL, but they're just not durable enough. So they're saying, we're going to put capital into drafting running backs.
And Trey Sermon looks to be durable. Like, that's what I'll say about him. He's a bigger guy.
He's not elusive, but on that offense, you don't need elusive. You need somebody that can just run downhill and just go. He's quick. All he needs is a little bit of a hole, and he's gone.
Yeah, no, I like him as a prospect. And again, I think if not this year, next year they're going to be, no Wilson, no Mostert, and I think that it's going to be.
I'm not scared of them at all.
It's going to be Sermon and Elijah next year, so those could be value picks. Even Elijah Moore.
I'm saying it now. You're going to look back, draft Trey Sermon.
All right, I like that one.
Even in a rookie draft, I'm probably taking Trey Sermon 7, maybe 6, 1-6, 1-7.
Okay, so there you go. Mac Jones will get a chance to play. I think that if Cam is good, Mac Jones will not get a chance. I think that if Cam sucks, then Mac Jones will get a chance.
I don't think Bill Belichick even likes watching Cam Newton play football. Like, I think he just knew they had to get somebody in there.
It surprised me when they re-signed him.
I
want to say their bye week is week 14, so it's like a later bye week.
That's really late,
maybe if they're out of it, then they try to take that time and make the move to Mac Jones.
Yeah. Alrighty, I think we are going to call it there. You have anything to end the news and notes here?
The snozberries taste like snozberries.
No, I got nothing. No, thanks for hanging out. Glad we could get one in. So sorry we weren't able to do it on Tuesday. Nikki, got a new job, the working man, a new kid. Have you announced to the world your new status, your new relationship status?
Taken?
New marriage. So Nikki getting married.
Yeah, no, it's good.
There you go. Drop a like for that.
I'm going to post the Discord link in the chat. If you guys want to join, just click it. Come on in. Pocket nice shoe. Thank you.
Good shoe. Real good shoe.
Appreciate it. Bye, Marcy. Yeah, we'll get her out of here. She just, if she's not going to support us anymore, we just can't have that.
Marcy, if you watch this back later,
why are you the way that you are?
Right?
That's for you.
So, really appreciate you hanging out with us tonight.
Thanks.
It's always better when you're around.
Thanks for working through the tech issues.
For sure.
We're gonna keep messing around with the desk. So tune in next week to see where the
new
desk
layout
is.
If you got ideas how we should organize the desk,
tell us if you like it.
Let me know.
You like that? You like that?
Oh, good. All right. I think that's the tune that we should probably leave on.
Job's done.
Thanks, everybody.
There it is. All right. Bye, guys.